tried as an adult. And he got life in prison. A 9-year-old. And
Wow.
and he didn't get put in prison where juveniles were. I mean, this made like
Right.
2020 and all those, shows at that time. He went into prison where there was adults. Now, in case like this, I don't know if he ever got out. I never followed up on this. But put it this way, at 9 years old, your mind doesn't really know the right and wrong things yet. It's still developing.
Now that I do. I agree with that at 9, but not 17.
No, well, we're not talking 17 now. We're talking 9 years old. So,
Right. Yeah.
You put a 9-year-old in a record prison with record prisoners, adults, right? Now, what is this kid at 9 years old? He's very impressionable, right? He's going to be scared and all this stuff, right? What is he going to form? Is he going to be reformed in prison at 9 years old?
No, he's going to become a hardened killer is what he's going to become if he doesn't get killed himself.
Oh, yeah. Well, I guess it was the prison mascot with all the other prisoners at 9 years old. I don't know. It just makes me wonder how some of these backyards, whatever states, I mean, even would allow a 9-year-old to go into adult prison. I think
they should be held accountable because you're as guilty of murdering somebody or ruining a life as the person that put the other person there for hitchhiking and saying they got pregnant. It's wrong. It's wrong. And I can tell you a story on the other end of the scale. Now, I know this is a fact. I'm not going to say the names, but this happened it was about the time I was over there in 88, 89 in Rhode Island. This kid who was a minor at the time, he killed 3 people, 3 neighbors, cut them up. I mean, cut them up, pieces. 2 years go by, they don't know who did it or nothing. 2 years go by, he cuts up another neighbor family in pieces. 3 of them, little girls, the mom. I mean, it was sickening, disgusting. They didn't know what the heck's going on. Well, they found out who it was, put DNA and all that, and got him, open and closed case. Now he's got 6 murders on his case. I think he was 16 or 17. No, he was 15 at the time. But he was big, looked like a man. Put him in prison. Now, in the state of Rhode Island, when you come 18, he was either going to get out of prison or out of juvie school. His time was up. And this was back in the early 90s by now, or late 80s, early 90s. So now he's ready to leave. Now he's got 6 murders under his belt. And there was 2 moms and the 2 daughters were like, 8, 9. They were below 10, 12 years old. I mean, he cut them up in pieces. And he did this when he was like 12 and 15. So anyway, he's going to go get out. Well, the guards made sure he wasn't going to get out. They come up with some bull, drummed up some charges and, like they attacked him and all this. Anyway, they kept adding charges on him. So he remained in prison. I don't know if he's still in there today or not, but I'm pretty sure he probably is or died in prison because they wasn't going to let him out. So that was on the other end of the scale, where they drummed up stuff to keep him in there that deserved it. But then you got people, it goes both ways. And there's got to be, a 9-year-old, come on, really? A 9-year-old going to prison, that's obscene.
Well, I say, you know what? I see things like Bill Crosby, right? Now,
oh, Lord.
You know what? If he did what and he admitted that he gave them, stuff to make them relax and basically to pass out. But you know what? There's other people that have got probation for worse things than what he did. And that, and I think our system in our country is really broken. Because, you know what, in 2 different courts, 2 different judges, 2 different offenses, one could be horribly bad. Then another one could be bad. But you know what? The guy does the horribly thing, right? He walks. The other guy goes to prison. And I think it needs to be some type of thing, where it's all uniform. I mean, if you do this offense, you do this amount of time. Okay?
Yeah. I was just going to say that's one of the problems. We're not uniform. Every state has different laws and bylaws and ideas and ideologies, how they should do these things. We all need to be uniform, set scale what to do with certain ages and crimes and stuff, and keep to it. I agree totally with that.
Well,
Totally.
yeah, it just kind of really astounds me, from the standpoint. Now, again, I told you the story that my dad, from the Korean War, became good friends with the actor, James Gardner. And through that, I got to meet like Reagan and a few other people. I was honored because this guy, did the TV show Maverick, countless movies, did Rockford Files. But, he introduced me to a couple people, through the years that when I was younger that were my idols. And thank God for that. But I'll tell you, one, it was Robert Culp. You remember him? I Spy series.
Yeah.
He did a lot of Twilight Zone and, Outer Limit type, and plus he did that.
Yeah, he played a Texas Ranger, half-hour Western. He was Texas Ranger, too.
Yeah, he did that, too. Well, I got to know him vaguely. I never physically met him, but I chatted off and on with him through emails. And, later on, but I got to know him back, in the 70s through my dad's friend, because he was my idol. That Texas Ranger thing, that was really cool. But the number one thing I really infatuated on was I Spy.
I Spy, yeah. Wasn't Bill Cosby in that with him?
And you know what? He was the first black actor to be on a TV show, a national TV show.
Wow.
And Robert Culp and Bill Crosby did a lot of things to break the ice between blacks and whites. And as he, did the I Spy, he was the first black actor. It opened it up for other, black actors to get parts. It opened up the civil rights quite a bit more, too. And, so, yeah, we have this guy who, probably did a lot. I guess all men think about sex. That's pretty much normal. He took it one step too far. Okay.
He used his power and used his power to as a weapon.
Yeah. But should he have got life in prison or 10 years or 20 years or two, whatever? Okay. He got a death sentence. Hopefully, I hate to say it, people will be upset. I hate to see him rot in prison, okay, because he's done a lot, for human rights. He really has. And from the standpoint, this guy, did something wrong, but he's done a lot of good. And that should have been considered during his sentencing. And, what he did was horrible, okay, horrible. But then again, somebody else can go out and do something worse than that and get a slap and put on probation or house detention or whatever and doesn't end up in prison. That's telling me our system is broken.
It needs tweaked. I agree totally. And I got to tell you another thing I have a big problem with, and this happened out of Oklahoma back in the 90s where the forensic lab, the guy in there was faking evidence and put DNA to link crimes with people that didn't do it. And a lot of people were doing life terms and stuff like that. Do you remember that? They finally, I think it was 2020 or Dateline that came out with that back. It wasn't that long ago, but they got the guy who was falsifying all kind of DNA to put people away to, connect dots and help these politicians and the head of the police and everything looking good. The record's looking great. Well, yeah, when you can just take DNA from where and put it on somebody that's doing a crime that didn't do the crime. Well, I mean, hello, that guy should be held really accountable. Look at all the lives he's ruined.
Oh, yeah. So he loses his job and not being able to do whatever. It's just not him that's been in that field. It's been a lot of lab technicians for a lot of counties, a lot of states, not purposely doing it. They were incompetent to do their job, or they were sloppy or dirty. They didn't keep their areas clean. They didn't follow protocol. Okay? Right. And because they didn't do what a lab's supposed to do, people got convicted of crimes they never did. Could you imagine? Absolutely. Could you imagine you're in prison, right, for 25 years? You're now 25 years old, right? Or you're 30 years old, and you go to prison for 25, 30 years of your life, every day being locked up in a cell, treated like an animal. Okay? Mm-hmm. You know you never did anything wrong. And then,
Right.
then you all of a sudden, they allow it to test the DNA and they prove that you weren't the one that did it. So they let you out of prison. Now, some states, not all states, but there's states out there will give you a hunk of money, maybe $1 million, $500,000. But you know what? That doesn't make up for 30 years in prison.
It doesn't. I can tell you, I know one guy that was in prison 10 years or 20 years. They give him roughly like $30,000 a year times 10 or so. It wasn't even worth what he did. I mean, it was just crazy. And he was innocent. Like you said, they found he was innocent because of some corrupt stuff or lack of DNA, or maybe it was before DNA caught up with it, and it freed him. But there's a lot of innocent people that went to prison for not doing anything.
Oh, yeah. And even DNA, in a crime scene, okay? There's a lot of reasons why your DNA could be at that crime scene. Let's say a woman that you didn't know that well, you went out on a date with her, right? And you had, for example, you went on a date with her and you had sex with her, right? Well, you know, and because there's women and men like that. So, after you took her out for dinner, you had sex, you take her back home. Okay, she looks at the clock. Oh, hey, Johnny's coming over. We're going to go out for drinks. Okay, now Johnny all of a sudden takes her out for drinks and decides he's a serial killer, kills her, right?
Yep.
He's not interested in having sex with her. He just wants to kill her. So he kills her, right? Now, and dumps her body. And then they find her body. Well, guess who goes to prison?
Yeah, your DNA is all in her. You're all over, so you're done. Or you could, you could pick up a woman at a one-night stand at a risque bar. You could do it out in the parking lot. She goes back in, you go home, maybe she leaves, she gets mugged, maybe she gets raped, they kill her. Maybe they don't even rape her, maybe they just mug her and kill her. Again, same scenario. You're going to have cops knocking on your door. Hey, we got you. It's open and shut. See ya.
Yeah. And then, and then a lie detector test, there's still got to be something wrong why the courts won't accept it.
Well, yeah, because listen, you could take a 2, 3, 4 Xanax, go in there, meditate, get yourself down. You could pass them tests. I know I could pass them, so I know with a little training you could teach people to pass them tests. I mean, come on. There's a reason. You're right.
And how about the person that's really anxious, okay? A person who is a little bit neurotic, okay, and worries all the time, right? And then he goes and takes a lie detector test. And he's going to fail it because he's all worked up, he's all stressed out, and he's scared. Hey, I think something needs to be done, like I said earlier, with our court system, our law system, and it needs to be applied equally.
Absolutely.
Okay, I thought I'll say this. Okay, I thought you're innocent till you're proven guilty. Okay, well if you're innocent till you're proven guilty, okay, why do they lock you up? Oh, we lock you up because you could run away. Well, hey, I'm 75 years old. I got 8 kids. I got 35 grandkids. I lived in my same house for 50 years, and you're locking me up for something I didn't do? Hey, well, that I don't know. You're innocent till you're proven guilty. No, you're guilty till you prove you're innocent. And the more money you have, the more chance you're going to walk away.
Yes, and let me tell you something, a little story real quick. 25 years ago, I was crossing the little border in from Rhode Island to Massachusetts. Now, let me tell you something about Massachusetts. It is what is called a Commonwealth state. And there's a few of them, like Kentucky and I think Virginia. There's 5 of them. But anyway, they got their own little set of rules and laws on top of what is already messed up. So the cop just didn't like me, and here's the charge. You want to hear the charge?
Oh, yeah, let's hear the charge.
The charge was suspicion of driving on suspended license. Now, my license wasn't suspended or anything. That was just a bull crap charge they drummed up, held me in jail for 5 hours so they could bring they have their own little bail bondsman's got to come in. And he come in there, and he says to me, how much money do you have on you? I said, $172.46. He says, yep, that's what's going to cost to get you out.
Yeah.
I swear.